When you look at the Virtual Boy, what is your first thought? How would you describe it in one word? For the uninitiated, the word awkward may come to mind. For those who know, failure might. Both parties would be correct. While not Nintendo's first foray into the world of three-dimensional gaming, it was the first to be released in the West. It was plagued by poor design, rugged graphics, and a distracting red and black color palette. And if none of that churns your stomach, playing it for about 60 seconds will. And I would know. I had the pleasure of getting to demo this device at a classic game shop once, and I only played it for a few seconds before feeling ill. Me. But despite its commercial and critical failure, Nintendo would not be so easily discouraged, and their next earnest stride for 3D gaming, barring a short-lived attempt with the Game Boy Advance, was the Nintendo GameCube. Nintendo was looking into creating a 3D screen add-on for the GameCube that would allow players to see the games in 3D without the use of glasses. Sound familiar? However, due to the cost of the peripheral looking to cost more than the console itself, it was scrapped. A prototype was made and shown off for all to see, but nobody ever knew it. And yes, this did have the ability to show 3D, but this was turned off for the display. And so here we are in 2023, 20 years later, and now the only way for most people to viably play GameCube games is through an emulator known as Dolphin. This also allows the user to play Wii games. Safety note: while exploring the world of emulators and ROMs can be fun, it's also easy to accidentally download viruses. Make sure you do your research before downloading things. Dolphin has several graphical options to choose from to enhance games, but the one we will be focusing on today is the stereoscopic 3D option. You are presented with several options to view the games in 3D. Obviously, we have the standard off, but under that are side by side, top and bottom, anaglyph, HDMI 3D, and passive. These present you a lot of leeway, and thanks to the anaglyph 3D mode, you don't even need a special 3D display like a TV or a monitor or a VR headset to view games in 3D. If you happen to have your PC connected to your 3D TV as I do, side by side, top and bottom, and even passive 3D work well. I'm not sure about HDMI 3D, though I couldn't really get that to do anything. Underneath this, you have your depth and convergence sliders, but these are game dependent, especially the convergence slider. Depth controls how much volume there is to the 3D. Do you want a lot or a little? Convergence changes how far away the game is from you on the Z-axis. Do you want to push the game world all the way back into the screen, or have the game world spill out in front of you? Sadly, convergence is inconsistent and really depends on the game camera. The convergence slider is very finicky though, and typically the view that you have when the game first boots up is the best one. So far, the only game that really seems to work decently well with it is Mario Kart Double Dash, and even then I wouldn't recommend messing with it. I've tested 5 games on this, and this is what I've discovered. The game that runs the best of the 5 is Mario Kart Double Dash, and is a great showcase of Dolphin's 3D capabilities. There are few to no errors in the 3D presentation. Super Mario Sunshine is plagued by its heatwave effect. While the 3D still technically works past that effect, it can be a little blurry and cause minor oddities in the 3D, but nothing too horribly noticeable. Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door looks great, but menus and things are rendered on the wrong axis sometimes and can look odd. Luigi's Mansion looks nice, but cutscenes can be a bit extreme. Just don't touch the convergence slider and the game will look fine outside of that. Twilight Princess looks mostly fine, but due to how the map layers work, one eye will be receiving a different image and it can be distracting. Let's answer a few questions. While I do not run the 3D using NVIDIA's 3D kit, which they no longer support, I did at one point have it. My secondary monitor is actually an Asus 3D monitor that I used to play 3D games on, though I'm sure you could still play these games in 3D using this if you manage to get the right drivers. Is this converted in real time or post? These games are being rendered in real time. I actually had to lower the rendering down to 720p from 1080p in some cases as my PC ran too slow. This isn't a question, but how does one enjoy this in 3D? Well, this video specifically was only a test that was recorded in side by side. You can follow the directions this commenter left, or use a 3D display. VR headsets will also work. Any of them will do, even mobile ones. Once I get more into it, there will be an anaglyph option available for red and blue glasses. I hope this answered everyone's questions. Thank you all for checking this video out, and I will see you all next time.